السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآله محمد. So we've been following the narrative of the Pharaoh for the last few nights, and for the next few nights inshallah we'll be continuing with this theme. Pharaoh had a two-sided character to him, and the Zahiri external side was predominating. The arrogance was predominating over that inner destitution that he had, and these were at war. But for now, that arrogant side was predominating over his inner destitution, humble side. Then Ibn Arabi said, and the text that we're reading from is from one page from Ibn Arabi's Futuhat. Some people have inquired. Said he said Allah knows that if one is veiled and drowned in arrogance, and as a result is veiled, their veil, their access to the truth now is closed. And therefore, any form of amr bil ma'ruf becomes void, futile. However, with Pharaoh, there was this inner potential. That destitution was there. He hadn't been veiled completely yet, and therefore the story in the Holy Quran is a story of how Allah wants to attract such a human being. And if you look very closely at the structure of the verses, it becomes sometimes very difficult to digest. It's not a question of the orator wanting to romanticize. Sorry. Right, they say please read until 10:15. I will read until much I can, and then inshallah. Although some people did ask me to speak for 1 hour, but I can't always speak for 1 hour. It always depends where one ends. I don't want to start a new theme, and therefore I have to stop at a particular point. So, Allah sent, He's seeing the route for Amr al Ma'ruf is there. He sent 2 prophets. And that's something very special in its own right. Not only did He tell the prophets how to speak, which was smoothly, qawlan layyana, but He also mentioned what to say. These are things that we've covered up to now, just to give a very quick synopsis. And they went, they said what they were ordered to say to the Pharaoh, but still it hadn't been effective. The process of divine Amr bil Ma'ruf is in play. It's in play, it still hasn't been effective, at least for the Pharaoh. But in the process of this, some other people are being affected. See, this is what happens in Karbala, where we have Shem as the end goal. Shem, though, doesn't accept until the very end. With Pharaoh, the story may be different. But even during this time, until it gets to that point, many people change camps. Many people see the light. That's why I'm giving the narrative of Pharaoh, so it's equivalences with the story of Pharaoh. So, we ended with the verses where the 2 prophets said what they said, and then Pharaoh came and said, you want to use magic? Because Nabi Musa And they said, give us Bani Israel, free them, this, that and the other. And then Pharaoh rejected and said, do you want to use magic? Or if you want to use magic, we can do the same. And then he asked his sorcerers to come into play. Now, I'm continuing from last night now, from verse number 65 onwards, in chapter 20. So the sorcerers, the Sahara, they said, you throw first. It's a combat of sorcery, so called right now. Pharaoh hasn't accepted. The process of Amr al-Ma'ruf is still continuing. It's taken a small diversion. It's come now to a point of the Pharaoh saying, you want to use magic? Well, we can do the same. Kind of sorcery, I would say. So, Pharaoh says to the sorcerers, you come and show him that you can predominate over him. The sorcerers say, will you throw first or shall we throw first? In verse 66, فَإِذَا حِبَالُهُمْ وَعِصِيُّهُمْ يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ سِحْرِهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى. Their ropes and their staffs, their canes, the sticks of wood, cane, their ropes and their canes appeared before Musa and the people. As a result of the sorcery they were using, it appeared as if they were moving very fast. In the context here, they were moving like snakes. It's in other verses. This was an illusion. يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ. It was an illusion. Otherwise, these were just ropes and pieces of wood. But it appeared before the people that they were moving fast like snakes. Sorcery, magic, these are illusions at the end of the day, not realities. فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةَ مُوسَى. Maybe Musa was alarmed within himself. Not that he was scared of anyone. His alarm was for the cause. In this context, his alarm was that the people are going to accept what these sorcerers are doing. And that the divine cause, maybe I won't succeed in doing what Allah has asked me to do. That was the source of alarm, not that he was scared of anything. He's ma'soom. He's only scared of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قُلْنَا, we said, لَا تَخَفْ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْأَعْلَى. No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the cause. Don't worry about what people will say. You have the upper hand. وَأَلْقِ مَا فِي يَمِينِكَ. Now you throw. Allah is saying to Nabi Musa, you throw that which is in your right hand. تَلْقَفْ مَا صَنَعُوا. So that it swallows that which they have made. I think that you're throwing your stick, which then will swallow that which they made. That which they crafted. Sana'a, it's a kind of craft, making something, producing something. What was it that the sorcerers made? It wasn't the actual sticks and ropes. They didn't bring that into existence. It was the illusion that they made. The sorcerers made the illusion. They crafted their witchcraft. They crafted the illusion that these are snakes. That is sana'u, that's what they made, nothing else. You throw down your stick it will swallow, it will remove that which they made. It will engulf that which they made. It will cancel out that which they made. إِنَّمَا سَنَعُوا كَيْدُ السَّاحِرِ. Otherwise that which they're making is just a deception of the sorcerer. That's it. It's an illusion. Once you throw yours down, that will be invalidated. فَأَلْقِيَ السَّحَرَةُ سُجَّدًا. Then the sorcerers, witchcrafters, they fell down in submission. Because when Nabi Musa threw down his stick, what happened? It's not as if the snakes had consumed and actually physically swallowed, and now there are no ropes or pieces of cane, pieces of wood. No. That which Allah said was, you will cancel out. That which they made. That which they made was the illusion, not the stick, not the rope. And so after what Musa did, what remained there were just pieces of rope and sticks. And the people realized that it was a deception. They saw the truth. If, according to some scholars, we take that understanding that what Musa threw actually swallowed, and now there are no sticks, and there are no ropes there, then the sorcerers may have said, well, this is another form of sorcery. It's just greater than our form. It's a legitimate point here. Ibn Arabi mentions this. He says, rather, no, it's not as if they swallowed, anything was swallowed and now it doesn't exist. The invalidation is that those pieces of wood and ropes that were made to seem that they were snakes, they were invalidated by Musa, and now they were simple ropes without movement, and people saw, oh, this was an illusion. When the sorcerers saw this, they fell down into prostration. قَالُوا آمَنَّا بِرَبِّ هَارُونَ وَمُوسَى. Then the sorcerer said, we believe, we have faith, iman, in the Rabb of Harun and Musa. So in this divine amr bil ma'ruf towards the Pharaoh, in this journey, the Pharaoh is still not convinced. He hasn't come on board. Even though that divine hope that we discussed yesterday was there, and then definitively occurring, in contrast to when humans say maybe. I don't want to keep on repeating this. But during this journey we see the sorcerers, they have faith. They acquire faith. Why did the sorcerers say Rabbi Harun wa Musa? We have faith, iman, in the Rabb of Harun and Musa. Why didn't they say we have faith, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen? Because Ibn Arabi says there people would say, well, the Rabb is Pharaoh. Here the sorcerers want to make it clear, eliminate any potential ambiguity, that no, that's not the Rabb. The Rabb that we submit to, after what we've seen, that's the Rabb of Harun and Musa. And also, when the sorcerers saw that what Nabi Musa was doing, when he threw the snake, and when he threw the stick, and it converted to the snake, and Nabi Musa felt alarmed by seeing that scene, they knew this can't be sorcery, because illusions are done by the illusionist. The illusionist, when producing the illusion, never becomes alarmed. It's a product of what they're doing. When the sorcerers also saw that, they saw this is someone beyond Musa who is helping out. Okay. Then at the end, Pharaoh said, well, we're going to crucify you. Why are you submitting to his Lord? Why are you listening to him? We're going to crucify you. And the sorcerers, they ended by saying, فَقْدَ مَا أَنْتَ قَالَ إِنَّمَا تَقْضِي هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. You judge, you sentence, you decide what you want to decide. This decision that you're making is in relation to this dunya. And these people now have visions of the akhirah. They die as a true martyr, wholeheartedly, submitting to the Pharaoh as the so-called leader of this dunya, so to speak, but desiring martyrdom through the words of such a Pharaoh, wanting martyrdom to reunite with their beloved. And they do it with a very tranquil heart, and they became martyrs. The final words, the sorcerers, Inna amanna, we have faith, berabbena, with respect to our Lord, that the Lord will do what? لِيَغْفِرَ لَنَا خَطَايَانَا, that our Lord will forgive us our sins, our mistakes. This is how these people are dying. How people die is one of the indices of this spiritual status quo. Many people die with a very tranquil heart, with tranquil words. Many scholars, though, have died with a lot of distress. There was one scholar who died, and they said, how are you feeling? Any last words? He said, destiny has grasped me like a wolf. What can I do? You see, it's okay, it's not haram or anything. But that was his final words. It wasn't on a par with etiquette. Calling destiny like a wolf which is grasping onto me, there's nothing I can do. This statement shows his status quo that he was in. These people, they're dying knowing that Allah will forgive them. They have that iman, amanna liyaghfira lana. That's important. They're not in despair after the lives they had. They're not in despair. So that He will forgive us our mistakes, وَمَا أَكْرَهْتَنَا عَلَيْهِ مِنَ السِّحْرِ, and the things that you forced upon us, Pharaoh, namely the sorcery that you forced upon us, Allah will forgive. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى, Allah is better and more lasting. So that story ends there. What happens next? What happens to this divine narrative of Amr bil Ma'ruf? The goal was Pharaoh. And the verse continues, same chapter. The verse continues. وَلَقَدْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى. The next protocol, the next step. See, it's always heading towards this particular direction. Then we revealed upon Musa alayhi salam, and أسري بعبادي فاضرب لهم طريقا في البحر يبسا. To take my servants and then hit the ocean to provide a dry path for them so that we can pass by. It's now entered the next step. But before entering that next step, there's just one marginal point I want to mention. These dialogues are very important between the prophets and those who the prophets wanted to guide. A lot of ma'arij, be extrapolated from them. There's one dialogue between Ibrahim alayhi salam and Namrud. I don't have the actual verse here, the address, but these are verses from the Quran, where Ibrahim alayhi salam says, Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumit. When describing Allah, he's saying that my Lord is one who gives life and takes life. Qala ana uhyi wa umit. Namrud, the disbeliever, said, I give life and I take life. And in a sense he's right, but not in the sense that Nabi Ibrahim had intended. He says that I can make this person, for example, remain alive, but I can take his life anytime I want. Then Nabi Ibrahim a.s. took the discussion one level further. قال إبراهيم فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب. See, continuing his description of Allah, that Allah brings forth the sun from the east. You bring it forth from the west. Now, actually here it's speaking of the movement of the earth. But they would speak it with the sun in mind as the pivot. Not that the sun is moving or anything, but that's the way people were thinking in those days. Here, if you were to bring the sun or make it rise from the west, it would entail the earth moving back in time, or the earth moving back, at least revolving backwards. Something which we have in stories called Raddu Shams, the return of the sun. One is the story of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and there's another story with one of the prophets, Joshua alayhi salam. Here, many scholars say that they deny the story with Amir al-Mu'mineen, and they deny similar stories. They say that's not what was intended. They explain it in another way, which I don't want to explain how they explain it. And when you ask them why, they say because it's impossible for the earth to go back again, for the sun to move back again, to go back in time. Now, here, the Urafah have paid attention to this particular verse from a long time ago. These aren't things that are new things. A long time ago, they realized the point in this verse. The point was that Nabi Ibrahim, in dialogue with Namrud, is saying, do you say you're the Lord? Okay. The Lord brings the sun forth from the east. You do it from the west. If that was something impossible, Nabi Ibrahim wouldn't have even given that. He wouldn't have even suggested such a thing. Because if it was rationally impossible, then what he would be saying could be deemed as void. And then Namrud could have answered in a particular manner. He could have said, well, it's rationally impossible. What do you mean? But Nabi Ibrahim knew that this was possible. But it's not the way that Allah wanted to work with the cosmos. But it's possible. Now you do it. You show your rububiyyah for me. Two important things then follow here. First, the verse says, فَبُحِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. The person who was disbelieving, he was dumbfounded. And it stopped there, the dialogue stopped there. Namrud didn't even suggest to Ibrahim alayhi salam, well, you do it. Because if he were to have suggested it, of course Nabi Ibrahim bi'idhnillah would have done it. And then the whole argument would have fallen into pieces with Namrud. That's why he didn't even say, okay, you do it then. At least for a moment. So see, this understanding that the Urafah had centuries ago. The Urafah believed in this centuries ago. This was their understanding. There's no need to just don't make it all scientific and think that you know everything there is to know about science, and with our limited understanding you quickly come with a scientific conclusion. There's no need for that. But it's interesting, in one of Hawking's books that I read, The Grand Design, I was very interested when I saw this passage. I've written the page number down somewhere, since I didn't intend to speak about this. This was just jotted last minute as a marginal point. In that book, he mentions the story of Joshua. It's in the Bible, apparently. The Raddu Shams, the return of the sun, with Joshua. And for those who have been blessed to enter the presence of the Haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen, inscribed on one part of the Haram there, in praise of the Fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen, because of this Raddu Shams, it also says what Yusha did, you did too. Yusha bin Joshua. It is inscribed there. Anyway, Hawking, he brings this. And look, he's a scientist. Yes, I mean, in my very humble opinion, he's attacking the God which the theologians are introducing. In many cases he's right. I have no doubt about it. He brings contradictions which even I agree with him. It's important how Tawheed is explained. But he says nothing against the Tawheed that the Urafah introduce. It's different. Two different things here. But anyway, there he says that if this were to happen, that the sun, the earth were to go back and Raddu Shams, back in the time of Joshua, if it were to happen, then every loose thing on the planet would move at a rate of, and he gave X miles per hour. I don't recall it. 13,000 miles per hour, something like that. He said everything will move if that was to happen. At that rate, at that speed, and that's very expensive because of the damage. Is it worth God doing that for the sake of a miracle? Okay, it's a scientist speaking. The last comment was a very a petty comment, but we should expect him as a scholar, he's a scientist. But the point was he didn't deny the possibility. That's the point. He didn't say it was impossible. Without a doubt he would have said it's impossible. He's looking for the impossible. He's looking for the religious texts when they fall short. But he didn't go against the Bible there. He didn't go against the story of something rationally impossible. No, it's possible. But this would happen. And yes, it will happen. Everything will move at a speed, it will cause a little damage. Unless the Ma'soom of the time, with his Walayatul Takwini, has a control over everything and doesn't let these things happen. But that's not something that he's interested in. It's a religious discussion. But the point was, it's possible. Okay. So after going back to the narrative again, the same chapter 20, verse 77, وَلَقَدْ أُوحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَسْرِ بِعِبَادِي. It was revealed to Musa alayhi salam to take My servants, فَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ طَرِيقًا فِي الْبَحْرِ يَبَسًا, and strike for them a dry path in the sea. لَا تَخَافُوا دَرَكًا وَلَا تَخْشَى. Don't be scared of being overtaken or passing away. Don't be scared. Don't be dismayed. Just go in this route. Okay. So now this is the next step of the story of the Pharaoh now. It's the story of the ocean. But still, this divine Amr bil Ma'ruf is still there. Here, continuing from where we left off with Ibn Arabi's words last night. So, this is, I'll just quickly read what we read, the last sentence last night. He said, the drowning separated Pharaoh's self from Pharaoh's cravings. Because he had that outer image. This drowning now was separating his image from his self, his outside from his inside. He sought refuge. After this was happening, the drowning was the cause of this separation. He sought refuge towards that which was hidden within. Because that which was without, that outer image was now all crumbling. And he felt that. It's nothing now. Now the inner aspect was predominating. And he sought refuge to that inner destitution and need. Then Ibn Arabi says, do we have proof of this now? That he sought that which was within. He says, of course we do. It's all in the Quran. When he said, Pharaoh said, Amantu annahu la ilaha illa alladhi amanat bihi banu Israel wa ana min al-muslimin. I believe there's no deity save that which Bani Israel believe. And I am amongst the Muslims. That's the verse in the Quran. We have a lot to do with this verse in the future. Because look how he's dying. He's saying, وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. In chapter 3, verse 102, Ibn Arabi has brought this here. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ. You who believe, have taqwa before Allah, as you should do it properly. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And don't die save that you be Muslims. This is chapter 302. There are other verses with Jacob alayhi salam, Yaqub to his sons. Other verses with Nabi Yusuf saying this, we want to die as Muslims. And then Pharaoh is saying this now, as he's dying. But we'll put this up more tomorrow. Ibn Arabi continues, فَأَظْهَرَ حَالَةَ بَاطِنِهِ وَمَا كَانَ فِي قَلْبِهِ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ الصَّحِيحِ بِاللَّهِ وَجَاءَ بِقَوْلِهِ الَّذِي آمَنَتْ بِهِ بَنُو إِسْرَائِيلَ لِرَفْعِ الْإِشْكَالِ عِنْدَ الْإِشْكَالِ. Pharaoh disclosed his inner state and that which was in his heart, namely the correct knowledge of Allah, and that Allah is Allah, not He, the Lord, which we discussed before. And his bringing the clause, that which Bani Israel believe, is to eliminate a dilemma that may arise. Like with, and he continues, كما قالت السحرة لما آمنت آمنا برب العالمين رب موسى وهارون أي الذي يدعوان إليه فجاءت بذلك لرفع الارتياب. The same way that the sorcerers said, we believe in the Rabb of Harun and Musa. And they say we believe in the Rabb al-Alamin alone. Here, Pharaoh also, so that no ambiguity arises, say, I believe with the Rab, the same Rab that Bani Israel believed in. So that no possible ambiguity can arise with the people later. That he was the Rab, he just believed in himself. That Rab which Bani Israel believed, in that Rab I also believe. And then and I'll end with this part here. وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, which he says, خِطَابٌ مِنْهُ لِلْحَقِّ, is something which is saying, it's addressed from the Pharaoh for Allah. He's saying, وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, I am one of the Muslims. لِعِلْمِهِ أَنَّهُ تَعَالَى يَسْمَعُهُ وَيَرَاهُ, with full knowledge that Allah is hearing him, Allah is seeing him. Remember the verses before, when Allah was saying to Musa and Harun, that I hear, I see. Now here, Pharaoh is saying to Allah, I am one of the Muslims. He has full knowledge that Allah is hearing, He is seeing. بِلِسَانِ الْعَتَبِ وَأَسْمَعَهُ آلْآنَ. So he's saying this, and the Allah then addresses him with a tongue, with a tone, a voice of reproach. But Allah says to Pharaoh, now? Now this is where the discussion becomes very important and where the scholars differ. And does Allah give the stamp of approval to the declared faith of the Pharaoh, or doesn't He give approval? And inshallah with this I'll continue tomorrow. He asked me to do a few words of Musibah.